What is up, weather enthusiasts? I'm your host, Pat's Path Predictor. Let's get right into the weather. Alright, so here's the situation we have for you, ladies and gentlemen. We have a lot to really discuss today and kind of go over and kind of get an understanding of what's going on, because we're seeing more model runs, we're seeing more data continue to come in that is showing a better picture of what the weather is going to be looking like over the next week. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get started, because now we're seeing not only a double snowstorm threat, but we're also starting to see an increasingly probable severe weather threat for those of you tuning in from the deep south in Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and even into Florida. You guys could be seeing severe weather in the near future. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into this. Here's what we have going on for you right here. We're going to go ahead and move that over just to give you a better look of what we're looking at. Here's the model that we have right here. This is the GEM GDPS as of right now. Right now, as we're looking at it, things have continued to get pretty interesting over the last little bit. I know I'm moving this around a little bit. I apologize for that. I'm just giving you the optimal viewing experience off of this. So here's the situation we have going on. Basically, the latest model runs are in, and we have more stuff we need to talk about, but there has been some fluctuations that we need to share with you, and there is some disagreement between the models that I also want to highlight as well, because this isn't exactly set in stone just yet, so we got to take these with a little bit of a grain of salt. But with that being said, we're going to go ahead and show you right here. Starting on January 5th, as we've been talking about, we're starting to see snow organizing and developing, this low pressure system organizing over the Texas Panhandle into Oklahoma. There's going to be some snow possible for parts of Colorado, Kansas, and Oklahoma as it's getting its act together. But the first big threat that we're paying attention to is the severe weather threat that exists in the deep south. In fact, we have the SPC right here to give you an understanding of what we're potentially looking at right over here. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and show you that. This is the SPC. This is issued for day 7, which is on Monday, next Monday actually, January 8th. But before we get to that, we do have a bit of a severe weather threat possible over starting around January 5th, January 6th right here. In fact, the SPC does kind of highlight that, although they are advocating for more thunderstorm activity than severe or anything like that, but we'll still have to pay attention to it. But the main stuff is going to be happening on January 8th for Houston, Lufkin, Alexandria, New Orleans, Mobile, those areas right here. Here's the discussion that we have right here. Minimal severe potential is evident across the continental United States on Sunday. Medium range deterministic and ensemble guidance shows remarkably good agreement that an upper trough will both strengthen and amplify as it ejects across the southern plains early next week. Impressive wind fields at the low levels should easily support severe thunderstorms, whether sufficient low-level moisture can advance inland of a deepening surface low. There is still some uncertainty on both how quickly the rich low-level moisture will be going on, but as for day 7, we have now a 15% severe weather area justified primarily due to those conditions that I was talking about above. So if you're tuning in from Houston, you're tuning in from New Orleans, Mobile, the Florida Panhandle, where I just was for vacation, you guys are not out of the woods with the system just yet. We're going to have to continue to keep an eye on it for you as time continues to go on. But with that being said, we're going to go ahead and show you what we have with the model runs that we have. Starts off with severe weather, but then it transitions into more of an ice storm for a lot of areas in the Appalachian Mountains, including Kentucky, parts of Tennessee, especially the Appalachians of North Carolina, parts of Virginia, that are going to really start off as an ice system. I actually want to go ahead and check the temperature on this, the surface temperature, to kind of see what we're gauging at for parts of the mid-Atlantic over here. Parts of the temperature for parts of the mid-Atlantic on the surface are about 28, 29, maybe 30 degrees Fahrenheit according to this model. However, if we go ahead and go up a little bit and kind of show what we're looking at, we're still looking at a rather interesting situation. If we show you the temperature, things do get a bit warmer. There's actually, the reason we're looking at some freezing rain right here is because the upper levels do see some temperatures above freezing. At 850, we're looking at like 1 Celsius or about 34 degrees, 35, 38. It's down further into Virginia right here, whereas at the surface, if we go ahead and show you that, we're down to like 26, 27 in parts of northern Virginia. So that's what's really kind of precipitating both the freezing rain threat and the sleet threat right there. as we continue to show you this right here. That's kind of the biggest reason why, because there's a difference in temperature between layers. If you want snow, you need to be freezing through all the through all the atmosphere as the crystal and the flake continues to go down. If it warms up at one point, if it warms up higher up and then it cools back down right afterward, that's a more likely probability for sleet. But if it warms up and then kind of cools down closer to the surface, then it's going to be a more of a threat for freezing rain. Either way, this does look like a significant ice buildup right here for parts of North Carolina, Virginia to get started with. And even into Tennessee and Kentucky, you guys are not really out of the woods with this just yet. So based off of what we're looking at, the ice threat is going to be what's going to be starting for the storm on January 5th, January 6th as it moves through. Then on the 7th, you don't really see that much. Although from what I'm looking at right here, if we go ahead and show you the total snow accumulations as of right here, a lot of them are pushed further into the west around Hagerstown, parts of Pennsylvania, rural Pennsylvania, Scranton, Willis Berks, parts of upstate New York, into Massachusetts. But what's going to be kind of make it an even more dangerous part for a lot of these areas, including Maryland, parts of New Jersey, and even into New York City, potentially, is this ice threat that's going to be going on. You guys could, instead of getting a snowstorm, could potentially be getting an ice storm if the GEM GDPS from this one is accurate. So we'll have to pay attention to it as time continues to go on. But then you have the other snowstorm that's going to be on, and the GEM GDPS has shifted this considerably further to the north towards Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, although Pennsylvania, New York, and into New England could see some snow from this. So we'll definitely have to pay attention to this. And total snow accumulations from what we have, this is going to be moving through rather quickly according to the GEM GDPS, but it's going to be a very heavy snowmaker. We're looking at a huge blanket of potentially up to a foot of snow for parts of Iowa, Wisconsin, parts of Michigan right there. So that's what we have going on with the GEM GDPS. However, not all the models agree with this sentiment. In fact, the European actually has this shifting further to the south right here. The European has this snowstorm in the Midwest shifting towards the Chicago area, towards Grand Rapids, towards South Bend, towards St. Louis, towards Springfield, Illinois, towards those areas right there. And then what we have going on with the Mid-Atlantic storm, including parts of New York City, parts of Philadelphia, is the snow line moves further to the south. So it's kind of a bit of a disagreement. You're going to see this disagreement probably until 2 days before the storm actually hits, of what we might be looking at, because from what I can look at right here, for Washington D.C. for example, parts of Montgomery County get up to 7 inches of snow. However, as you get closer to D.C., it's about 6 inches. But then as you move through Prince George's County right here into Charles County right here, that snow drops to 2 to 3 inches of snow. So there's a bit of a gradient right here, that rain-snow line that we always talk about. Like for another example, Loudoun County is going to be getting potentially up to a foot of snow in some areas, while Fairfax County could see 8 inches on the western side, and then down to 4 on the eastern side. So that's pretty much what we're looking at. Philadelphia is another good example right here. It's also on that rain-snow line over here. Philly, according to the European model, is getting 5 inches of snow, but areas near parts of Bucks County, you're seeing up to 14 inches of snow. So that gradient of about 30 miles can pretty much mean up to 10 inches of snow or not. And for New York City, they are in this model not in the line, but if the line shifts a little bit further up to the north, then parts of Brooklyn, Queens, Staten Island aren't getting 12 inches of snow, or same with Manhattan and parts of Westchester County over here. So that's kind of how this thing works for those of you tuned in from the Mid-Atlantic, and I wanted to give a better understanding and give you a better picture of what we're looking at from what we are seeing right here. So that's what we have from the European model. They are forecasting more snow in parts of the Appalachian Mountains, potentially up to 2 feet of snow in parts of West Virginia, parts of even into Western Virginia, not West Virginia, but Western Virginia, and in areas in Appalachia over there. Pennsylvania, the T is definitely going to be seeing up to 20 inches if the European holds. So we'll have to see what plays out. But parts of the Chicago area is also what we're paying attention to. And the parts of the Chicago area, unlike the GEM GDPS, it gives a direct hit to St. Louis, a direct hit to Chicago, direct hit to South Bend, direct hit to Grand Rapids. Now Detroit, it's gonna be a bit of a battleground right there. If we go ahead and show you this, Detroit could see, according to this, like 5 inches of snow, but areas in western Michigan could see up to a foot. So we'll have to pay attention to that as time continues to go on. But in the meantime, if the European is correct, then parts of Chicago are not going to be really seeing school going into Wednesday, and same with the Northwest Indiana. So we'll have to pay attention to that as time continues to go on, and this is for like next Wednesday and stuff like that, but still something to keep an eye on. Now the last model we're going to go ahead and show you is the GFS model, and the GFS has also been a pretty interesting model to take a look at. I normally wouldn't use the GFS primarily due to how aggressive it typically gets, but considering the GEM and the European are also in agreement with this, I'm going to show it just to get an aggregate of this. We're going to get more models as we get closer to these snowstorms, so be sure to stay tuned for those right there. As what we got right here for the GFS model, we have this thing slowly moving through the deep south, bringing some severe weather, and the GFS is also showing a potential ice storm, at least at the beginning for parts of North Carolina and Virginia, but then it transitions mainly into snow, and the snow line either just clips DC or barely misses it, like Washington, DC proper, and parts of the suburbs get quite a lot of snow. And then you see areas in Connecticut, Rhode Island get really decimated as we go ahead and move through with this. We're going to go ahead and show you the total snow accumulations that we have pulled up from the GFS right here. For a lot of you guys, this is the kind of snow line I was talking to you guys about. New York City, it moved up about, I'd say, like a good 30 miles, and now pretty much the difference between 2 inches of snow and 10 inches of snow is a good like 30-40 miles inland, so we'll have to pay attention to that. Philadelphia and parts of Philadelphia could see up to 10 inches of snow. However, in the city proper, we're looking at 2 inches of snow, Bucks County up to 10, and same in Chester and Montgomery County. And as for Washington, D.C., we're looking at another situation where the snow line kind of impacts Washington, D.C., and parts of Fairfax County right there. Loudoun County could pretty much the difference between 10 inches and 2 inches is a good 10, 15, 20 miles. So that's what we have going on in the Mid-Atlantic, in the Chicago area, as the snow starts to fall over there. The GFS, like the European, is calling for a direct impact, and parts in rural Illinois could see up to 15 inches of snow. I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but either way, St. Louis and Chicago, according to both the European and GFS runs at this current point in time, are showing a rather interesting situation. I actually want to go ahead and take a look at the precip type to see if we get any lake effect. It does appear we do get a little bit of lake effect, but yeah, direct hit to Chicago and St. Louis, potentially up to 8 inches of snow if the GFS is the correct model. So we're going to have to pay attention to this for you guys, and we'll continue to keep you updated here on the Pat's Path Predictor channel. But before we go, I just want to say thank you so much for the massive amount of love and support in the last video. I honestly did not expect it. We've gained so many new subscribers from people who are wanting to get engaged with the weather and are rather concerned about what these snowstorms could bring. So I really appreciate you guys giving me a chance to explain what's going on. But with that being said, we're closing the video out right here. Be sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new. The goal of this channel is to get more people engaged with weather. And with that being said, have a wonderful day, guys. Stay safe.